Somebody would say you cannot represent your constituents because you have a child. Unbelievable to me. We have to figure out a way to do it.
Parental leave policy for elected municipal politicians stirred up some heated debate at Calgary City Council. Edmonton City Council passed a similar motion last month, allowing them to take up to 26 weeks of parental leave. It was approved unanimously, but not here.
Cabinet ministers have had children in office, as you say, Councillor Farrell, in New Zealand. I believe the Prime Minister, is that correct, is pregnant now? So we can do it. And this is a small gesture towards just opening up the doors and saying we do better when we have a truly representative council. I can't imagine why anyone would vote against this.
I really respect and I admire the intent of this motion.
This city councillor did vote no. He was the only one. But there are reasons for that position.
Should council members be deciding their own benefits and pay? I think that this should be hands-off. It should be handled by a citizens committee. They can actually take a look at what other cities are doing and making sure that it's appropriate in our case.
The open-ended leave policy will now be developed and brought back for another vote. City administration will now flesh out this policy, expected to return to council later this year. They will look at issues such as the term and length of the leave and the possibility of proxy voting by absent city council members who are on the parental leave. Gary Bobrovitz,
the man at this center of this latest controversy, Jeromy Farkas, city councillor, Ward 11. Jeromy, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so give us the context here, the background. What was it that was being discussed at city council yesterday?
Absolutely. So we were looking into developing some type of policy for parental leave. And as a matter of principle and based on what I continue to hear from my residents, my position is that City Council should not be personally boosting our benefits and pay. I believe that this policy should be, if written, should be out of the hands of Council. And like other matters of pay and benefits, it should be made by an independent citizen group who can better weigh what's appropriate.
What happens now if a city councillor were to take some kind of parental leave? What would apply? What would govern that?
Well, considering that councillors can set their own hours and are already granted considerable benefits and time off, I think the new parents absolutely should be accommodated in the present circumstances. Council can grant excuse of absences for 2 months or more. And personally, I think a baby in the council chambers is not out of the question. I'd be happy to support that.
Okay, so what's been proposed, though? What more do people think needs to be done here?
So that's the issue that I had is that it was relatively vague, and I didn't support council going into the nitty gritty ourselves. I think that it should be hands off, but I actually want to emphasize that I think that it's not an ordinary kind of job. It's a full-time job and then some. You aren't working for a boss, but instead for the voters who elected you, and especially the voters who didn't. I think I owe the residents of Ward 11 a duty. You can hire extra staff to handle phone calls, but as the councillor, you can't be replaced. That said, I want to be open to saying that, life happens. There's an incredible amount of pressure on women to both launch their careers and their families, and sometimes it happens at the same time. We need more women in public life, period. And that's something that I want to be able to help enable, but I felt that what was before us was just too vague.
Okay, so your comment yesterday, which seemed to get everybody upset, that taking parental leave would be a betrayal of the people who elected you. What did you mean by that?
I think I could have better communicated my concerns, but my genuine concern is that sometimes we have a council that spends so much time focused on itself rather than the concerns of ordinary Calgarians. I strongly support elected officials having the ability to balance their duties with family life, but as long as provided that Calgarians continue to be represented and that the individual pays into applicable benefits, just as other working Calgarians do. So right now, it's a little-known fact, but city councillors don't pay into the federal employment insurance program and are therefore not eligible to collect EI. So maybe this was more of a nuanced discussion, but I don't think council should be asking for a free benefit that most working Calgarians have to pay for.
Okay, but I mean, as far as I'm aware, I don't get the sense that anyone's suggesting that an elected city official take a year off after having a child, or has that been suggested?
That's part of my concern, is that I think that if we are to take these types of leaves, it's very important that that representation be maintained. I think that with technology the way it is, I'm not opposed to, say, councillors being able to call into a meeting as long as it's that councillor making the decision. But I'm not happy with, say, delegating that authority, say, a councillor saying that another councillor can vote on their behalf, or, say, an unelected staff member would make that decision.
So what was passed recently in Edmonton, as I understand it, was up to 26 weeks of parental leave for elected city officials. Is Calgary then considering something similar?
Right now, that's part of the difficulty. So we were writing and rewriting this proposal on the floor. I wasn't sure whether it be the councillor's office who'd be writing the policy, whether it's HR and administration, and it was very unclear to me exactly what it is that we did approve. I think that we agreed in principle to come up with a parental leave policy, but lacking the specifics, I wasn't able to support it. So, and again, I'm not opposed to having these accommodations being made, but I think it's very important to weigh emotion on its details rather than its intention. And trust me when I say that I want more diversity of views and not less. Okay,
because, yeah, I mean, you were the lone vote yesterday against exploring a policy, so why not let that process play out? And if you don't like the policy they come back with, then vote against it then.
Well, it's more a matter of principle. I don't think politicians should be micromanaging questions of our pay, benefits, and so on. I think that compensation, it should be fair, it should be competitive with the private sector, but it should be hands-off to an extent. We have an independent citizens committee that makes recommendations on these issues, and I think in the past we've seen this group actually disrespected in that some of their recommendations are adopted and some aren't in somewhat of a self-serving way.
All right. Well, the vote was cast, so what happens now?
I think I continue to hold council and administration to account, and it really just I want to respond to the fact that some members of council suggested that I think that people with children can't do their jobs. That's absolutely false. I greatly value family and the miracle of children, and leadership in family should not be an either-or proposition. Being a mother or father can bring unique experience that really can make you a better representative, and any elected official should be free to pursue a family. I just want to make very clear that what I'm hearing from my residents is that council members should be at least somewhat of an extent hands-off from questions of their own pay and benefits.
Yeah, no, that seems pretty reasonable. All right, well, Councillor Farkas, we'll leave it there. Appreciate making some time for us here this morning.
I'd like to open up to my local residents. What's an appropriate amount of benefits and time away for an elected official? How do we ensure that you continue to have the representation you deserve? We owe it to ourselves to have this debate, and I want to include you in it. So shoot us an email at ward11@calgary.ca. I'm really keen to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. All right, good stuff, Jeromy. Thanks again. Jeromy Farkas, Ward 11 at Calgary.ca.